Kiwoni's books. I was having a conversation about Sasquatch, and they said, hey, you should look up this guy's books. And I said, okay. So I wrote down his name on a little piece of paper. I said, I'll check it out sometime soon. Well, I ignored that for probably about a week. And that little piece of paper with Kiwoni's name on it started popping up everywhere. It was in my purse, on the bed, on the counter, you know, all these different places. So I was like, okay, there's something to this. I better look this guy up. And so I looked at his website and bought his books because I was very curious about it. And I immediately knew, as soon as I read the words, the Sasquatch or an interdimensional nature people, it changed my life. I knew immediately that this is what I've been waiting for. This is a part of me. I couldn't explain it, I didn't understand it, but I just knew I had just found what I was looking for. And so after a series of events that happened very quickly for me, visitations from the Sasquatch and some star people and things like that, and after reading just maybe a couple pages of his book that I had just gotten in, I found myself calling him on the phone. His contact information was listed in the back of the book, and I didn't even plan it. I just, while it's ringing, I realized what I had done, like, oh my goodness, what am I even going to talk to him about? And actually I hung up on him when he answered because I was so nervous, but thank goodness he called me back. And so I just explained things, and he could tell I was genuine and coming from a heart space with this, and I was fascinated by everything that was happening too, but well, it was just time. It was time for us to meet, and yeah, like the Sasquatch say, the time is now, and the time is now, and then the time was now. So, and so that's kind of where it began. Kiwoni and I spoke on the phone for 10 months, I guess, about 10 months before we met, because I was living in Arkansas and he was living in Duvall, Washington, near Seattle. So after 10 months, he flew down to visit me, because throughout that 10 months too, that's a whole other long story, but we fell in love over the phone without ever meeting, and that was also very guided by the Sasquatch, because initially that's not where either one of us were, but the Sasquatch kept insisting to both of us, you know, we should meet, we're going to work together, we're soulmates, all these different things. And for us, I think both of us maybe were, you know, we have Taurus in our charts, maybe we're both too stubborn. So, but we didn't really want to believe it. And, but after enough influence from the Sasquatch and then from other people, you know, because Kiwoni's been doing this for almost 40 years at that point, so he's connected with people all over the world that are in communication with the Sasquatch. And, so they started to call him, these various people from Canada and the US and all these different places, people that don't know each other, started calling him and saying, hey, my Sasquatch guide gave me a message to give to you, and that, you know, either you're about to meet your soulmate, or you and Kelly would be great together, or you two are going to, so it's just coming from all these different directions, and we couldn't deny it. So we're like, well, okay, let's see where this goes. And we got to know each other on a more personal level over the phone, and so, like I said, over 10 months, we felt we knew each other pretty well, and it was time to meet. And so in 2014, we got married up here in Washington State, and moved to Stevens County, to the Chewelah area. And we had no plans whatsoever of having a conference or a gathering or anything like that. But, you know, it was 2015 that we met, right, on the internet. And yeah, so the following year, I was on Facebook and just kind of scrolling. Actually, I was visiting a Facebook group that I've never even visited. So for whatever reason, the universe was influencing me to check that out. So I started scrolling. I see all these pictures of Sasquatch there, and I was like, ooh, what's this? And it was Sunbow posting the 7th message from Camus, from the first book, The Sasquatch Message to Humanity. And this was before there was a book, so it was just the 7th message that he had received. And it just resonated so greatly. It was everything that Kiwoni and I are sharing. And so I was like, who are you? And what is this different? Where are you getting this? And how come we don't know you? And, you know, and I asked him if he'd never even heard of Kiwoni or his books or his work or anything. So it was really like, okay, we've met family, somebody that's really, you know, in alignment with all of this too. And so it was pretty quickly that we just picked all that up. I mean, like I said, once again, Sasquatch influence, that we just knew we have to publish this information, because this is what I've been waiting for. This is what we've all been waiting for, and this is great information that needs to get out, you know, to the rest of the world. And thankfully, Kiwoni already had that following and that audience, so that we're able to put this information out there and reach the masses. So that's kind of how we got involved in all of that. And the following year is when it came to our attention that we should have a gathering of some sort. It's actually a friend in Arkansas that I know that's also connected with many other beings, not usually Sasquatch at all. He's connected with other realms and other beings, but he said, hey, during my meditation I got this really, really strong guidance from a Sasquatch that popped in and told me that I should tell you guys that you need to have a gathering, you need to have your own conference, and I'm here to help you do it. Okay. You know, he had experience, you know, organizing events, and so he just kind of gave me a few tips on how I can start doing it, and it just all flowed together so perfectly. And then the audience was there, the crowd was there. Our very first year, we had about 150 people. So we knew, you know, that came to Little Chewelah, Washington. So we knew we were onto something, and that these types of gatherings were something that needed to take place, not only for the humans, but for the Sasquatch as well, and for, you know, everything in between as well. It's more than it is us getting to meet one another and seeing each other face to face and sharing stories. It's this energy that we all bring together. And so many people are also connected with Sasquatch of their own guides. And so, like right now, I feel a lot of them. Like, I think most of you brought your entourage with you, because I'm really feeling them here in the room.
It's busy.
Yes, it is. It is. And so they're just so excited anytime we gather, no matter how big the crowd. You know, this year, as Bo said, there was 333 people, as best as we can count, that was in Chewelah this year, and it was huge, big. Like, I think it was, well, it's at least over 100 people more than we had last year. And you know, so many people are having great experiences and connecting with one another, and you know, but more than anything, it's just experiencing that energy together. And in my heart, I've always kind of called, well, this gathering, the one in Chewelah, all of these, the Sasquatch Family Reunion, even though that's never been the official name. But earlier this year, the Sasquatch told me, nope, that's exactly what it is. It's a Sasquatch Family Reunion. And that's not just the human Sasquatch, that's for them too, because they all gather with us. And there's, you know, especially in Chewelah, we do have people coming from several different countries and things. So it's all these different clans, all these different beings that are coming together that have never met, and they've never been introduced to these different cultures, or some of them have never interacted or really observed humans, and so this is their opportunity to do that. So they're learning and growing right with us, and we're doing that together. We learn and teach each other. So some of the information I'd like to share today, a lot of it is the content, a breakdown of a lot of the content that's in the Sasquatch Message to Humanity. Because if any of you have been following this, you know it's deep. It goes very deep, and you could literally talk for about 1 year straight and not even cover it all. So I'll begin with the origins of the Sasquatch. And the Sasquatch are our elder brothers, cosmically, biologically, our elder brothers, because they are 99% human, and that's even been verified through Melba Ketchum. She's doing the Sasquatch Genome Project. She's out of Texas, and she's taken hair samples from many different places, people that have sent it in, some of her own samples, and she's worked with scientists. And they have determined through the testing of these hairs that the Sasquatch, they are 99% human, 1% unknown, of nothing from this earth. And they've been given the scientific name of Homo sapien cognatus, which means human relative. So even science that denies it is still kind of on board with it. They're denying it, but the evidence is there. So, but the Sasquatch, as well as the humans, we were created by the star elders, the star races, and the Sasquatch have been here 200 million years, approximately 200 million years on Earth, whereas humanity has only been here 500 million years, or I'm sorry, 50 million years. And so they have quite a bit more experience than we do. They understand, you know, the natural resources of Earth and everything before we do. And throughout the years and throughout creation, there's been many things put into place to, should we say, dumb us down or make us forget, or I guess make us forget who we are, why we're here, what we're all here to do, that we're all a part of the same source. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all a family. And if you look at the outside, you know, not in this room here, but everybody's fighting over race and color and politics and, you know, all this division and separation. And that's what the Sasquatch want to help us really understand, is that, no, we all really have to join forces together and take a stand for our planet and for what's right and for love and respect and honor and all of these things that humans in general, in mass, are not practicing right now. And so it's really up to us as individuals, and then gathering like this collectively. We all do our own part. We all work on bettering ourselves, and we all can work on being a little bit more kind to somebody every day. But when we gather like this, the energy is really building up, and so it's just that much more effective whenever there are that many more people within a group consciousness that are supporting this. And so the Sasquatch were created in Argatha, which was the underworld, when the Earth was recovering from a series of cataclysms and climate changes. And they were seated in the area known as Lemuria, or Mu, which I'm sure most of you have heard about. And so the purpose, or I shouldn't say the purpose, I'll get on that too, but they were basically, the Sasquatch were created, or they took on the role of being carekeepers for our planet, for Mother Earth, to assist us in our spiritual evolution of Earth's collective consciousness. And so that's what the role that they're really playing now. they've always done this, but for a very long time, I guess you could say it was underground or unknown, or there was only certain spiritual groups of people that may have had that awareness. But now is the time for people to really understand, really wake up and know that they're really here to help us. We can call on them for that help too. Yeah, so Earth has experienced, mass extinctions throughout several million years, which has nearly eliminated all species before us. So initially during Earth's creation, it was more of a water planet, a water-based planet. So as far as the evolution of Earth goes, it began with the primary consciousness beings of the planet were the fish people or the mer people. And then after a very long evolutionary time, it became the insect people or the ant people, they're referred to as well. And then the lizards or the reptoids. And then, much later it was the bird people. So all of these species are still existing here on Earth, but we're talking more about as far as a group consciousness. And then, so after the bird people was the mammal people, and the Sasquatch were the first mammal people. So we are part of that whole evolutionary process right now. We're also mammals. We're not the same as the Sasquatch, but, in a sense, we kind of are. And so that's what they want us to really understand. So now they are here protecting us and the planet, and they're helping us to grow spiritually, ecologically, to raise our consciousness through spiritual evolution, because the Earth is our planet. You can't say, even though there's this big long evolution of these different species and these different races here, the planet belongs to all of us. And right now, humans are the primary consciousness source on this planet. So it really is our responsibility to turn this around. And that's not to make it sound like, we have this big, huge task. You just do what you can do for yourself, and you're already doing it. You're already here, you're already wanting to learn, and so much of this information is spread once you leave here. You'll tell people this place you visited and more interest, so it just keeps building from there. Like I was saying earlier too, though, we are under the influence of the lower lords or dark forces or cabal, whichever title that you want to give them, and they want to basically take over the planet and take over our consciousness and use artificial intelligence and these different things to take over for their own agenda, and to keep us separate from our souls and from the things that really matter, the things that why we exist, why we're here. So it's very good to be aware that there is definitely a dark side that to go along with the light side. But so you need to have that awareness. But like I said, remember that the Sasquatch are here to help with that too. And I could, like Kiwoni said, I could tell a million stories, and so could so many others of different ways that they've helped. But it's important to ask. They remind me of that all the time. Don't just assume that they're going to help. Ask, and they'll be there. Also many different things that happen to us or in our life, things like that. It's a karmic challenge. It's some kind of lesson that we need to learn. So, we're always going to have ups and downs in life, but it's the way that you perceive those ups and those downs and the lesson that you get out of it. And so many times it's an opportunity to heal. These things come up and, I can't stand this anymore, or how come this pattern keeps repeating in my life? And it's like, well, look at that a little closer. How come that pattern does keep repeating in your life? It's time to do something to change that. And, so our own bodies and our own intuition tells us that all the time. Are you in pain? There's something that needs rebalanced, you know, or whatever the concern may be, that's our souls and our bodies telling us you need to make some kind of change. So